First Coast's most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, certified by Weather Rate, sponsored by AC Designs.
Good afternoon and good evening. Welcome in, folks. I'm a one-man band in here today. Meteorologist Ross Puma, Lewis Turner, or Chief Meteorologist Lewis Turner, I should say, worked the morning, has off the rest of this evening, starting the weekend off a little bit early for him, but it's going to be hot if he has any outdoor plans. The heat really going to be the big story here over the next couple of days, especially as we head into the weekend and even into early next week. With regards to your Friday evening rain chances, we've had a few isolated, very quick moving showers and or downpours that kind of move through downtown Jacksonville about, I'd say, an hour ago or so. Most of those, though, have begun to dissipate, at least around Duval County and most of the metro. Most of the scattered convection and isolated thunderstorm activity well off to our west, out towards I-75 in southern Columbia County, even west of Alachua County in the Gainesville area. And similarly, if you head up to the northern extent of the Suwannee Valley and the Okefenokee, few light but quick moving showers moving on in. So it might give you a quick burst of rain for about 5 or 10 minutes at the very most before it moves on out. Otherwise, we're expecting a pretty dry night out there across the First Coast this evening. But the heat is what we're going to be talking about a lot over the next couple of days. Just looking at a much larger picture, an overall view across the country. Many of us baking in the heat, whether you're out across the Southern Plains, the Mississippi River Valley, or up and down the Atlantic and Eastern Seaboard here. It is a sweaty end to the work week. 96 currently in Charlotte. 94 Little Rock, 97 in Dallas. You factor in the heat index, though. We have a temperature of 89 in Jacksonville right now, thanks to some of the showers that rolled on in, but still feels like 99. You got a real feel of 101 in Charlotte, 104 in Little Rock. Down there in New Orleans, in the Bayou, 106. And unfortunately, we're going to see a lot more of that here over the next couple of days. So taking a closer look locally, as I mentioned, upper 80s, lower 90s for most of us. Inland locations a little bit warmer. You got 96 up there in Waycross. Real feel, though, feeling anywhere from about 100 to 105 for nearly all of us across the First Coast here on this Friday afternoon. So if you have outdoor dinner plans tonight, prepare yourself. Try to get one of those tables with an awning or at least some shade, or perhaps just try to get a table indoors. Going to be a little sultry out there for your dinner and wine later tonight. But what you're seeing across really a large portion of the country, millions of people either under heat advisories or extreme heat warnings currently up across the Midwest, St. Louis, southwestern Illinois, and then really from Charleston up through the Outer Banks, Wilmington, Raleigh, even North Carolina, in that extreme heat warning. That is on its way here to the First Coast. And this is all stemming from that big ridge of high pressure. We talked about this some last weekend because almost the exact same setup occurred. So you look off to the west and northwest of Jacksonville, you get the jet stream really flying high up across the northern plains, the upper Midwest, and the Great Lakes region, and it allows that high pressure to build in underneath it. So as we played out through Saturday into Sunday and even into Monday, then eventually you notice that bright orange color continuing to expand. The jet stream continues to stay pushed well off to our north, much closer to the Canadian border. And that high pressure really is just sinking air down to the surface. It continues to compress the air, which just heats it up alone on its own, and then really just continuing to pump heat into the area and across the First Coast. So because of that, we could be flirting with near record temperatures here as we head into the weekend. And you factor in the heat index, it's going to be feeling warmer than 108, 110 even. So National Weather Service has issued a heat advisory from 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. for your Saturday tomorrow. All counties across the First Coast are included in this heat advisory, with real field temperatures expected to be up to 110. So we ourselves here at First Coast News, we've issued that weather impact alert for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday for the extreme heat. Heat indices really feeling anywhere from about 108 to 113 through the weekend and into early next week. So we have been on top of this over the past couple of days. And so if you're spending any extended time outdoors, man, try to take it easy, because really the key here is even early in the morning. So by let's say 10, 11 a.m., temperature's already in the upper 80s, close to 90 degrees. It's already feeling like 100 before you even get to lunchtime. Then by the middle of the afternoon, 2, 3, 4 o'clock, maybe you're planning on going shopping down at the St. John's Town Center, walking around a little bit. It's going to feel like 109, 110 degrees out there on the sidewalks. So try to limit how much time you spend outdoors. Do it earlier in the morning or later in the evening as that sun angle begins to dip a little bit closer to the horizon, not going to be nearly as hot. Here's another way to look at it, depending on what city you live in or closest to here around the First Coast. Many of us here going to be experiencing those heat indices and real field temperatures up toward dangerous levels here this weekend. Now, we'll often get some showers and storms to sometimes give us a little bit of a cool down. Unfortunately, that's not really going to be the case here for really your Saturday or Sunday. Due to the high pressure, yes, the low level moisture is a lot, but much drier air in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. So that's really going to cap how much thunderstorm coverage and activity we could see. So I think this model is honestly probably overdoing it at least a little bit. Some isolated storms across the whole area. Best chances for a few showers going to be out towards the Swanee and the I-75 corridor, but even that, really not expecting much with regards to your rain or storm chances here this coming weekend. So heat risk itself, once you start to get into those red colors, that's when you're talking about a heat index above 108. That's when you really need to, caution yourself with the amount of time you're spending outdoors, how much you're exerting yourself outdoors. Try to find some AC, stay hydrated as best you can. And then on Sunday, that gets even worse. You start to get those purple colors popping up. That's when it is truly dangerous. You're talking heat indices above 112, 113, 114 even. And I mean, that is when more than 10 minutes of doing anything outside, you really do need to take it seriously, take a break, get inside and into the air conditioning as best you can. So when you get into those purple colors, that is when the National Weather Service will potentially issue the extreme heat watch or extreme heat warnings. And you can read it right there. Little to no relief, even overnight. Temperatures not cooling down that much. And you're really not getting, your body's not being allowed to cool down like it should typically during the overnight period and into the morning hours. So some locations this weekend, you could wake up to temperatures at 6 or 7 a.m. right around that 80-degree mark, and then it is going to continue to just heat up throughout the day. So I've talked about if you got outdoor plans this weekend, maybe you're golfing, hitting the back nine, or you're playing soccer or anything like that. Per the CDC and OSHA, if you're exerting yourself, you should drink at least 10 bottles of water per day in these extreme heat conditions. Now, if you're just hanging out, just walking around, doing some shopping or just out and about getting lunch or brunch, they recommend drinking at least 8 bottles of water. But if you're exerting yourself and exercising in any way, they suggest to drink at least 10. So hydrate, get those electrolytes in you as best you can here this weekend. If you're going over to the Jags practice on Sunday, of course, they have the day off tomorrow. So training camp Sunday morning, 8:30 a.m., bright and early. I believe they open the gates at like 7:30 or 7:45. It is going to be a warm and muggy start initially, but by the time practice is wrapping up, temperature's already going to be in the upper 80s, feeling like the mid to upper 90s already. So stay in the shade, continue to drink that water there for practice Sunday morning, and then Sunday afternoon, perhaps even worse weather on Sunday compared to what we're expecting on Saturday. Temperatures right up toward that 100-degree mark. I got a forecasted high 99, but the dangerous heat continues, still feeling anywhere from about 108 to 112. And we could get close to tying, if not breaking, that record on Sunday. The records for the weekend and into Monday all set back in 1872. You can see our forecasted highs there. So it looks like if there's going to be a day that we at least tie a record, Sunday would more than likely be the day that we do it. But you'll notice even into Monday then, we still expect the temperatures to stay abnormally high, anywhere from 6 to 7 degrees above average for this time of the year. So heat indices staying at that dangerous to extremely dangerous levels through the weekend and into next week. Then you'll see they begin to drop back at least a little bit. It's still going to be incredibly hot and humid out there, but perhaps not nearly as sweltering and as stifling of a heat as you get into the middle portion of next week. And that's really because we're expecting the heat dome to begin to weaken a little bit and an increase in some rain and thunderstorm chances there, especially by Wednesday and Thursday. Another kind of tropical wave, a coastal low could swing onshore there by the middle of next week. That could enhance some of our rain and thunderstorm chances, bringing us not only more rainfall, but also cooling us off a little bit. Highs only expected to be in the mid 90s next week. So key takeaways, take it easy if you're doing anything outdoors. If you're spending that time out on the boat this weekend, try to spend more time in the shade than you are in the sun. The heat, the humidity, it will suck the life out of you. So hydrate as best you can. Limit your exertion out there, and just stay safe all weekend long with anything you got going on. Weather impact alert Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Heat advisories in effect from 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. for your Saturday. We certainly expect more heat advisories, if not extreme heat warnings, to be issued across the First Coast then on Sunday and Monday as those temperatures get close to 100, with real field temperatures 110 and greater for the end of the weekend and early next week. So enjoy the weekend as best you can. Stay cool, stay safe, stay hydrated. For First Coast News, I'm meteorologist Ross Mumal. Take care, folks.
Coast.
You're looking for answers. You need to understand the facts. You want the truth.
The First Coast is my home. I grew up here and I worked really hard to get back here.
Because I want you to be ready for what's coming.
You got to make sure you're exactly on point with your forecast.
Being part of the most accurate weather team, we can give you that trust, helping you stay safe.
You earn someone's trust by showing up every day for them.
Why does it matter in a forecast? Trust isn't everything, it's the only thing.
Consistency with, the accuracy in your forecast.
You're planning your day around it. You're planning your life around the weather forecast. Every storm.
Every forecast.
We are earning your trust.
Rely on the team working every day to earn your trust. First Coast News, on your side.
Hi, folks. I'm meteorologist Lewis Turner, working here at First Coast News. We're on your side. Been here since 2010, forecasting the weather for Southeast Georgia, for the First Coast and Northeast Florida. And it is a blessing and a treat to get to do it and work here with the First Coast News Weather Channel, which is powered by the First Coast's most accurate weather team. My passion is making sure you
set at 104 degrees. Meanwhile, our coldest July temperature was just a measly 61. For First Coast News, I'm meteorologist Ross Mumal on your side.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Lee Southwick. You're watching the First Coast News Weather Channel. We are proud to have been named the most accurate weather team in Jacksonville for the 5th year in a row by Weather Rate. We take our forecasting very seriously, and we want to get every detail right and accurate. We know weather impacts your day, whether it's going to work, going to school, running errands, going to the beach, or out on the water. You need to know what time that rain is going to arrive, how hot it's going to be, if fog is going to impact you, or if it's windy. And we want to nail it every day for you. We promise to keep working hard to stay the most accurate when it comes to forecasting for the First Coast.
You're looking for answers. You need to understand the facts. You want the truth.
The First Coast is my home. I grew up here and I worked really hard to get back here.
Because I want you to be ready for what's coming.
You got to make sure you're exactly on point with your forecast.
Being part of the most accurate weather team, we can give you that trust, helping you stay safe.
You earn someone's trust by showing up every day for them.
Why does it matter in a forecast? Trust isn't everything, it's the only thing.
Consistency with, the accuracy in your forecast.
You're planning your day around it. You're planning your life around the weather forecast. Every storm.
Every forecast.
We are earning your trust.
Rely on the team working every day to earn your trust. First Coast News on your side.
Hi, folks. I'm meteorologist Lewis Turner, working here at First Coast News. We're on your side. Been here since 2010, forecasting the weather for Southeast Georgia, for the First Coast and Northeast Florida. And it is a blessing and a treat to get to do it and work here with the First Coast News Weather Channel, which is powered by the First Coast's most accurate weather team. My passion is making sure you are prepared to start your day.
I grew up watching First Coast News. I grew up watching Tim Deegan.
Meteorology is not only my job, it's my hobby.
I love being a meteorologist. I love being a part of your day.
When it comes to a forecast, trust isn't just one thing. Trust is the only thing that matters.
The First Coast's most accurate weather team, sponsored by AC Designs.
I'm meteorologist Robert Spetta, First Coast News on your side. I've been working in meteorology for almost 20 years now, working with the Navy, even at Naval Station Mayport, as well as overseas, inside and covering typhoons, some of the biggest storms on Earth, and taking all of that knowledge back here to the First Coast and in the Jacksonville, and help tracking our hurricanes and severe weather in our neighborhood, knowing how they impact not only our local community, but the military as well. And number one thing, of course, is being on your side, keeping you safe with your most accurate forecast. So make sure you download that First Coast News app, and also you can stream our newscast on First Coast News FCN Plus, as well as any severe weather or special weather coverage as well. I'm meteorologist Robert Spetta, First Coast News on your side.
Hello, folks. I'm meteorologist Ross Mumo, and it's hard to believe we are already halfway through the year 2025, now into the month of July. Let's take a quick look at what some of our averages are for the month of July, specifically here in the Jacksonville area. Typically start off the month in the low 90s with an average high of 91 and an average low of 73. That really doesn't change much by July 31st. Average high of 92 and an average low of 74. So typically one of our hottest months of the year here in the Jacksonville area. Our average rainfall ends up to be right around 6.77 inches of rain in the Jacksonville metro area. So typically also one of our rainiest months. Our hottest July temperature ever on record was set at 104 degrees. Meanwhile, our coldest July temperature was just a measly 61. For First Coast News, I'm meteorologist Ross Mumal on your side.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Lee Southwick. You're watching the First Coast News Weather Channel. We are proud to have